welcome to Hack Your Happiness.
Both of us, like we said, we were so laser focused that it was hard for us to let anybody in our circle of, you're going to be a distraction. You're not going to be able to let me achieve my goals. But it really does. It takes an army to be able to qualify for the Olympics or reach a really important goal.
Are you a teen or adult looking for more happiness in every day and ways to connect with people in your life?
You've come to the right place. Hack Your Happiness is a podcast designed to bring you the behind the scenes of what brings iconic individuals happiness, plus their life hacks.
I'm Mercedes.
And I'm Anastasia.
And we're the two teens behind Small Bits of Happiness.
We're interviewing Olympic athletes, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and more.
Throughout all of our episodes, you'll find great conversations, hacks that you can take away and try in your life, inspiration, as well as unique and surprising insights. Today, we're speaking with top American beach volleyball players Taryn Kloth and Kristen Nuss. The two are an iconic athletic duo, ranking as one of the top duos in beach volleyball. We are both super excited that today, Taryn and Kristen are going to be sharing with us their unique journeys to becoming top athletes, hacks to becoming a good teammate, how we can keep calm while working with others, and more.
Taryn's high school years include of multiple state championships and being South Dakota's Gatorade Player of the Year. Her success on the court earned her a spot at Creighton University, where she continued to shine as an All-American hitter, contributing to 4 consecutive Big East titles and notable NCAA tournament appearances.
Kristen first started playing beach volleyball when she was a sophomore in high school, which is absolutely wild because that's the same age as me. Her high school career concluded in senior year when Kristen was named Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year, as well as New Orleans Sports Amateur Athlete of the Year. Kristen stuck to her winning ways at the collegiate level as she amassed the most career wins of LSU history, became the highest winning player in collegiate beach volleyball history, and ensured her team appeared at the NCAA tournament every year of her tenure.
As mentioned earlier, despite having a relatively short time as a pair, Taryn and Kristen's partnership has flourished, and they've got their sights on the ultimate goals, and they are representing Team USA at the Paris 2024 Olympics. Welcome, Taryn and Kristen.
Hi, wow, what an introduction.
I know, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you. We are just so excited and thrilled to be speaking with you both today. You are both iconic beach volleyball players who are so extremely talented. But take us back to the beginning. How did both your journeys start?
It actually started in a really dark time for the entire world. It was actually during COVID that we started playing together. Everything was shut down. There wasn't really anything else going on. Our LSU team, we all got sent home, and that was absolutely devastating, I think, for all of us. But Kristen and I started training together and started playing together, and the world started to open up a little bit. And luckily, beach volleyball is obviously played outside. So that was one of the first sports that we actually got to start competing in. And from there, it just kind of took off. I don't know. We played in anything and everything. We once played in 2 tournaments in one day. We just became obsessed.
That's amazing.
It's so funny how sometimes the darkest points like COVID or dark times in our lives can end up with such great positive outcomes. And so I'm so glad that, things worked out and that you guys have obviously become such a powerful duo.
I agree. I mean, your journey sounds like it is completely amazing and so full of, finding the light in the darkness. But what do you think your most significant challenge has been throughout this entire journey, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, and maybe both of you guys can each share one challenge that's really been a standout for you both. We just want to quickly say, check out our happiness wellness products designed by us for individuals of all ages to help you bring a small bit of happiness to your home with our tangible tips and tools. Check them out in the show notes.
Yeah, I think for me, it was a time where we were we were successful, but not to the level we wanted to. We had a stretch we just got 5th place after 5th place, and I started to have a lot of self-doubt. I was like, can I do this? Can I be an elite athlete or be at the top? And that just self-doubt really kept weighing on me. And then it was actually Taryn who was like, no, we can do this together as a team. And she kind of built that confidence back up. And since then, we just kind of went with it and ran with it and found success. We finally got to the top of the podium shortly after that conversation. But yeah, just knocking away that self-doubt and keeping the confidence in myself, and then also together as a team.
Yeah, mine would be similar. As soon as you start competing and you aren't successful, you do start to question things. And I feel like both of us have given up a lot and we have sacrificed a lot. And when you think that those things aren't good enough still, and you're like, well, why did I miss every single holiday with my family if we were just going to go here and lose? And it's so frustrating, but you can't think about it like that. So I would say mine is the same exact thing, self-doubt and a lack of confidence. And again, when that happens to me, Kristen's able to help me out of it.
That's so amazing. I think having that support is so important. Just having somebody that, you can rely on to help you, because having self-doubt can be so hard and can be like the biggest obstacle to, just having this mental block and not being able to perform.
It's funny how we can sometimes be our own like biggest barriers,
Exactly.
but it's so wonderful how you can both like uplift each other. And it's so funny to hear. Not funny, but it's so interesting because you are both like such iconic and amazing athletes. And so for teens who are like aspiring athletes or who do practice their own sports, like to hear that someone at a top level also experiences self-doubt is so relatable. And I think it's just like we always expect so much out of ourselves.
No matter what. Yeah, and what are your top tips for handling feelings like this of self-doubt and low self-confidence?
Man, I will start off with, you have to share it. You
That's
have
exactly
to
what I was
tell
gonna say.
someone that you trust that's going to help you get out of your deepest, darkest hole, because if you keep it in your head, it's just going to grow. It is going to get bigger. The blockade, the barrier, whatever you want to call it, is just going to become massive, and it's going to get harder and harder to get out. But as soon as you let the light in, that's when things can actually get solved. But letting people in, that's the hard part. Nobody wants to be a failure. Nobody wants to seem like they have something wrong with them, and everybody wants to be perfect, or as close to it as possible.
Yeah, I think it's being, like you said, talking about it, but being okay with being vulnerable, especially, I think that is when the two of us has found the most success, is when we have had those hard conversations and have expressed to each other just those vulnerable things that we have a little self-doubt in ourselves, and just putting that out there and having that communication with whoever you're playing with. It could be a teammate. It doesn't necessarily have to be a teammate, a friend, just anyone. But yeah, just being okay with being vulnerable and communicating. And I promise you will grow from it. It's a good thing.
I think that's so amazing and so important, having somebody to trust and to be able to share. I love the saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, because I feel like whenever you kind of share something, all of a sudden you feel like there's this weight off your shoulders, because all of a sudden you're not fully carrying this burden anymore. And it's
not to say that you're burdening somebody. It's not like you're necessarily burdening somebody else, but you're just like letting in support or advice. And sometimes we don't even need advice. It's just like the comfort of having someone else kind of in it with us.
Yeah, I just think that advice is so amazing.
I love that.
And being vulnerable is so important.
And I mean, you both are just like, I love how you uplift each other through the dark moments. But do you have a specific memorable moment from your volleyball career where teamwork has played a big role in achieving success, and like a celebratory moment as well?
We do.
Which one?
Is it Uberlandia?
Yeah.
You say Uberlandia, mine's Australia, honestly.
We for the most part agree that Uberlandia, Brazil, was the first time that we got a gold medal and won the highest level tournament for beach volleyball. And it was actually after I talked about how we kept getting fifth place after fifth place, and we broke through that and went all the way to the top of the podium. And for me, that was our first gold medal, and that one just meant a lot. And it really showed that we were capable of getting to the top. But she sometimes says that one is it, and then she sometimes
I
has
do.
another
I go
one.
back and forth so much, because this one specifically for teamwork, it means a lot. So at the beginning of our careers, neither one of us had played internationally, and the only way you can qualify for the Olympics is playing in international tournaments. In order to get in, you have to have points. We had no points, and so everybody was telling us to split apart, to break up, to play with somebody else. And Kristen and I entered professional beach volleyball together, and we wanted to stay together. And we finally got an opportunity. We got into like the last possible slot of a qualifier to go play in Australia, and we came out with a gold medal there as well. So
Oh my gosh, congratulations on,
Those
all of your successes.
amazing stories.
But I love that, like, people were telling you not to separate, but you knew, like, how powerful you were, and obviously you're right. And
Well,
so
she's stubborn.
I love that, though. Like, it's so important to, like, stick to your guts and, like, know, like, go with what you think is right, because at the end, like, if you want something and you're willing to work towards it and, like, practice it, it will turn out. And I think that's such, like, an important message, because sometimes people just don't know what is best for us. And sometimes it's important to, like, take advice, but sometimes it's also important to, like, have our own input.
For sure. And I think you guys are such amazing teammates. Clearly, you know how to communicate and work well together. But do you train and practice for teamwork just as you would almost train and practice in a sport? And are there any hacks to being a good teammate?
So yes, we work a lot on communication. We actually later tonight have a meeting with our sports psychologist. So it is almost like a marriage or a relationship when there's only two people. And we really have to work on communication. I mean, we are two different people. We're coming together for the same exact goal. And both of us are going to have to give some things up and compromise a little bit. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is realizing when you can or cannot compromise, and then the other person balancing you out.
Yeah, I think though, just in all sports or just any sort of teamwork, I think communication is key. Like, that saying is 100% the truth. It is very, very important.
Yes.
And that is something that we have worked on, especially with our sports psych, is figuring out how to communicate, especially in those high intense moments when we are basically in battle, when we're in the middle of a competition and it's the heat of the moment. And there are times where you can, she may say something that I may feel like is an attack, and vice versa. So it is talking through those when it's not a super high intense moment and trying to put yourself in that, but figuring out, again, that communication is just absolutely important. I cannot stress that enough. You definitely have to work on communicating.
Yeah, one of the hacks, like you asked, our sports psych helped us realize, we have bracelets. So instead of saying something to each other, because in the heat of the moment we might snap at the other person, we don't say relax, or we point at the bracelet, or we like reference the bracelet that both of us is wearing.
I love that. It's like a little kind of reminder almost that you, like, carry with you. And I think that's so smart and so clever, because you're right. When we're stressed, sometimes we say things that we don't truly mean.
Or say it in a tone that you're not trying to come off on.
Exactly. Because I mean, of course, teamwork applies so much in sports, especially your sport, but even, like, at school, a school assignment, or, like, theater group, or, like, any example, even, like, a podcast together, like, you have to be able to communicate together, and, like, a shared goal, somehow make sure everyone is able to collaborate and understand what the goal is and attain it in, like, a shared way. And so, like, I mean, collaboration is part of our daily lives. And I mean, it's so I really think that that's a very beneficial tip, is, like, find ways to communicate that work for you in different situations.
100%. So do you ever have any disagreements about how to move forward with your training, about a performance in a game, or about strategy? And if so, how do you cope with this conflict in a manner that resolves it?
There are definitely,
Sometimes,
I think, sometimes just in kind of like we were talking about in competition, there are times where I think we may say something wrong, or I may have saw something that she didn't, and then it's kind of like, oh, why weren't you there? Like, that was the play we were running. But I think it all falls back to the trust we have in each other. And I think when that is the underlying thing in a team, that won't cost you games, or you can move on to the next play, because yes, say I was doing something wrong, but she trusts that what I was doing was for the benefit of the team. And I think that just underlying trust factor is what allows us to move on from those plays, or just those uncomfortable times, or just hard times.
Yeah, just trusting the people that you're working with is
so important.
It's so important, because, I mean, if you don't trust the person that you're with, how are you supposed to, like, make sure that you're doing the right thing and that you're both communicating effectively?
And,
it's
like,
so critical.
knowing that the other person is always looking out for your best interest, not thinking, oh, they're doing this, they're out to, like, make us lose, or thinking, you know, because trust and communication, they go so hand in hand, and knowing that that person they are doing the best they can so that both of you can succeed.
And that's why you have to communicate with them, so like you understand where they're coming from and they know exactly where you're coming from. But if you were to like lay out your top 3 hacks for teens to work well in a team, what would you say?
Oh, I have one for sure. After a match, make sure that both of you are willing to communicate effectively at that time. So say after a loss, Kristen and I, we both are silent. We're reflecting on the game and both thinking about what just happened. And then one of us, whoever is ready first, say I'm ready first. I would go to Kristen and I would say, I'm ready to talk whenever you are ready. And then Kristen can take literally however long she wants. And then she comes to me, and that's when we have a very effective communication style of talking through everything that happened, even though it's a negative thing. So I would say wait for both of you to cool down before you have those conversations.
Another thing I would say is listen. You may always want to put your opinion in, but listen to what they are saying, and then go from there.
Yeah. Man, one more.
I know. I'm like, one more.
We could just take your bracelet hack as a third one. I think that's also a fantastic.
It really is one.
Especially for any sort of team sport or something, I definitely recommend just having some sort of word. It can be used for multiple different reasons. Could just be a reminder, but it also could be an effective way for you to communicate as a team on the court.
Yeah, like this one has the Olympic rings with USA. So that is something that both of us wear. And it is a reminder when you are going through some rough workouts and you don't want to get up in the morning, or you don't want to go to practice and you're hot or you're tired, and you look down at your bracelet and you're like, no, this is going to be so worth it in July when we're in Paris and competing at the Olympics. So it's an extra push.
And I feel like it's also such a great, like, for example, you don't need to have like a rubber band. Maybe you can like beat it or something, like with your teammates or something, like as like a team bonding activity for teens. But just having like that kind of reminder, or you could use like a word that just kind of motivates you and kind of makes you remember what you're doing it for. Like,
yeah, because sometimes it can be hard to lose track of what we're working towards, whether it's sport achievement or even like a project that you want to all get. Obviously, everyone wants to get a good grade on, or anything it may be. Like, you need to recognize the shared connection that you have, and like having a physical manifestation of it is like, I mean, it's right there, and you have it on your arm, or you have it on your wrist, or wearing it on your crew neck or on your t-shirt. And so I think like that is truly a fantastic way to bring everyone together. But I love just like the bracelet of like a word, because like that is just like such a powerful reminder when you're having a second where it's just like, why am I even here? Well, how am I going to get through this? And I really love the idea of calming down, because it's true. Like, we can get so fired up, like when we can get so mad and then snap at people that we're working with, and then they're not happy with us, and then we're not happy with ourselves, and it can get into a messy situation.
And I love how you talked about how so much of this has like an underlying message of like trust. But how do you cultivate this trust?
For us, it was easy. I don't know. She just became my best friend, my sister, my family member. So I think, which is hard. Sorry. Both of us are not super open to letting a bunch of people in, is the other thing, which is so crazy because we both decided to let the other person in.
I think it's with us that we spend a lot of time together, and I think just in those situations, it was just, she turned into my sister, and it was that just underlying trust factor. And I think it's something we both put at the top as far as a quality that we want in someone else. And I think when just those two core values kind of clicked for both of us, that's just when it kind of worked. But I would say just spending time with someone, and it was outside. We first started kind of knowing each other just by being friends. We didn't play together. So it kind of started as just a friendship, and then that friendship turned into a volleyball partner. And then now we just dedicate times where we're like, nope, we're going to not talk about volleyball or anything. And we're just going to go back to being best friends and sisters and talking about just absolutely anything other than volleyball. So I think dedicating times to that is very important, and just keeping that trust and also just the underlying friendship that we have.
That is
I
so
love
wonderful.
that.
I love how close you guys are and your connection, because I think that's so important when you have someone that you're so close with and you can trust them. It makes
For
it so much
sure.
easier to be willing to listen, willing to, give them some grace if they're having a moment. And I absolutely adore how you prioritize also putting time aside where it's not like a partnership for work or for training or for practice.
So it doesn't just feel like a work partnership. It feels like you genuinely like love spending time together and that you're really, really great friends.
Because
and I love
otherwise
that so
you
much.
could like that relationship might change and evolve, and I really love how you like put that in to stabilize it and like put in time to just be friends and be close and just have some fun, because that's so important to just having a great partnership and connection. So how does social media or any media really impact your focus when you're coming into a large competition, just like the Olympics or Australia or Brazil? Because I feel like it plays a big role in our lives these days.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There are definitely times where both of us have gotten some maybe interesting Instagram DMs that are not necessarily the friendliest, but I think it's funny because we both have different outlooks on it a little bit. For me, I kind of turn it and take it as a positive. I'm like, oh, I kind of love it. Like, give me the negative and I'm going to prove you wrong. And I think that's something that could be a good way to flip it. I know a lot of people, especially the younger generations nowadays, it is like people can be just very mean. Mm-hmm. And if you just take that and be like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, that's not true. And just kind of flipping it in a way that could help. And then I think,
the keyboard warriors think that they have so much power and it's only if you give it to them. So yeah, there were a couple times where I would read something and I was like, oh, that's kind of mean. And then I would come to Kristen, she's like, sweet. Like, they did that to you and now you get to take that and you get to use that as power. And so do I ever think that it's okay to do that? Absolutely not. I think it's so rude. I would never do that to anybody. But yes, like Kristen said, trying to flip it. And she does a better job probably than I do, but I am trying to learn from her of, taking that as a positive, because if you weren't doing anything, like, they would not be coming after you.
It's so true. And I love how
realizing it like that and thinking, if I wasn't doing anything special, if I wasn't, actually achieving things, people wouldn't be coming after me. And I love, flipping it to the positive and using it as fuel almost.
Yeah, because you can't control what other people are going to say or do or comment.
You can control how you react to it.
Yes, and so we've got to take what we can and use it to our own benefit. And also the thing is, like, if people are noticing what you're doing and they're commenting or they're, I don't know, whatever people do on social media to be mean, like, it means that you are having an effect and, you're reaching people. And
you have a presence.
You have a presence, exactly. And so, like, seeing it in the bigger picture, like, wow, I actually am reaching a lot of people, and, like, how many good comments are there on this poster? How many people are liking my pictures, etc., rather than leaving rude comments, because we often focus on the negatives.
So what is one piece of advice that you wish you could give to your teenage self, and, like, one piece of advice that each of you think you would want to give?
I would say be okay with being uncomfortable. I was a very shy, especially teenager, and looking back, I'm like, Kristen, what were you doing? Just be okay, like, to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because that's when you're going to grow the most. And yeah, I so wish I could go back and just, like, shake my teenage self and be like, what are you doing?
I would say having confidence in myself exactly as I am, and not trying to wish something was different about me if it's something I can't change. Kristen has done a very, very good job of that. I do think it's an extra challenge as a female, especially growing up. It is always kind of looked down upon if you are confident. And I do think that there is a different or very fine line between cocky and confident. And I think that you should be confident in yourself and you should own exactly what you are, how you look, everything about you. And yeah, you don't have to be cocky, but yes, very self-confident. I really, really wish that I would have been better.
For sure.
Yeah, I get it. It can be so difficult to feel good about who we are and what we look like, especially, I think, even more so nowadays with, like, constant social media and comparisons. And I mean, I think we all, as much as we, like, can feel good about ourselves. Sometimes we see something online and we're like, oh, why can't that be me? Or why can't I have that opportunity? Or why can't I go to that school? Or whatever it might be. But realizing like, hey, this is me. I have to accept who I am because I'm either going to be unhappy or I can accept who I am because like there's no in between.
Two options. You might as well choose to be happy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I also love that about getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, because at the same time, like, if we use like our struggles and like even like you guys becoming a pair during the pandemic, like we can turn the negative into a positive.
Exactly. Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly, if we take the opportunity. So what do you both do every day that brings you a small bit of happiness?
I talk with my family and my friends. I make a point to talk to at least one of them. I mean, I talk to you every day, but I mean somebody that I'm not around like consistently.
So I have recently become a big coffee drinker, and we have a coffee machine, and just every single morning getting to just make my own coffee in the house, to me, I'm just like, I get so excited just to drink my cup of coffee every morning.
I love that so much. You know, just finding like those small things, like I'm so excited to make my coffee. It just makes such a big difference in your day to be able to look forward to something. And the best part is that you do it every day without fail. So there's always going to be something to fall back on. I love that. I love that so much.
Oh, I was going to say, especially if you get a bunch of fun coffee mugs, and then every morning you're like, oh, which mug am I going to use this morning? It really is. If you find the little things that can make you happy, it starts the day.
It's finding those things instead of it like waking up and choosing to react to the good things instead of being like, man, I spilled my coffee today. You're like, I still get to make another cup. You know, it really is. Are you going to find the negative in things, or are you going to find the positive in things? And somebody actually recently asked me, they're like, do you wake up and are you just like genuinely happy, or do you have to force yourself to be happy? And I never thought about that before. Did you ever think about that?
No.
Like, do you guys have to wake up and tell yourselves to be happy?
For me, I feel like I wake up pretty happy. Like, I wake up and I'm like, today is going to be a good day. And then sometimes things happen along the way and it's just like, why is this going on? But like, my day starts off like on a good note, you know?
Yeah, I know. I think usually when I wake up every day, I usually feel like I'm in a pretty good mood, unless like I remember I have to like do something. Like I know sometimes I have things where like I wake up and like it's the first thing on my mind, and sometimes that can like cloud my day a little bit.
You see, when I wake up in the morning, I'm very like, I don't know what it is. I get very philosophical. I'm like, today is the last day that I have math this week. Or I'll be like, tomorrow I get to have like, I don't know, hang out with my friend. Or I start to like think about all these things like, I don't know, on like a deeper level than any other time of the day. I'm not sure how to put it into words, but it's only in the mornings where that happens to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so do you have a motivational quote that you love and remember? And if so, why?
I don't know if this is a motivational quote, but my mom always said to me, as far as I can remember until this day, she'll say, there's always someone better than you out there. And that's just a constant reminder that you have to just keep working hard and don't be content. Just keep getting after it. And also not to be like cocky or anything, because there's probably someone out there better than you. And you just have to keep going out there every day and just trying to get better and make yourself the best person and player that I can be.
I would say my overall quote would be not afraid, because there are times where you can like start talking yourself into a negative emotion where you're just like, oh my gosh, am I ready to play this tournament? Is this team better than me? And it's just like, no, I am supposed to be exactly here, and I am not going to be afraid, and I am going to conquer whatever I need to conquer for the day.
I love that. I love that so much. Just saying, you know, I worked hard to be here and I deserve to be here is so important, because I feel like sometimes we just kind of be like, oh, well, you know, I might have just gotten here for luck or like whatever. Like, no,
own it.
You did it. Own it. Wear it. And I also love there is always going to be someone better than you. You can't be always focusing about what other people are doing. If this person's better than you, if this person is worse than you, only focus on bettering yourself. And if you have a little bit of like an off day, thinking, okay, what can I do tomorrow to make sure that I do better than I did today? And just constantly pushing yourself instead of comparing yourself to others, because otherwise that's a game no one can win.
Of course, you're not like the best that you can be and you're not better than everyone else, but at the same time, you gotta like work on yourself, because you can't change how others train, you can't change what others do, but you can work on improving your own self. So I love that message.
Speaking of training, I'm sure you guys do a lot of hours.
Yeah, how many hours a week do you train?
It's a good question. It really depends on our trainings, like where we are in competition and stuff, but ideally when we are at home and we are not competing a ton, I would say we are in the gym 4 times a week, and we are out on the sand 4 or 5 times a week.
Nice. And how many hours like would that be at the gym or like on the sand?
I'd say in total per day, probably 4.5, 5.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of physical exercise.
I know.
That doesn't even it doesn't phase me anymore. I'm just like, oh yeah, we're gonna go run outside in the sand for 3 hours. Like, to me, it's no, we're just gonna go to practice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I'm sure that all of that has, if you're constantly working on that and constantly being super active, it must take somewhat of a toll on you. How do you spend your time with downtime and relax a little bit?
Oh,
great question.
that is something this year that we have really been working on, because in the past our goal was Paris 2024. We wanted to achieve getting to the Olympics and also winning a gold medal, and we were just laser focused, and we realized that it was not super healthy. We really needed to find just a time to decompress and just mentally give ourselves a break. And for us, I feel like it's trying a new restaurant, or going to see a movie, or just kind of we started a new kind of ritual where we have at night we'll come back home after practice and everything, and we have like a recovery session where we turn on a TV show and we sit in our Normatex and just kind of hang out, just watch the show and just give our minds just a break of just sitting there and also recovering.
I love that. Sometimes the best thing for you to do just to recover is just watch a bit of a show.
Yeah,
read a
and like
book.
just totally like even going to a movie or to a restaurant, like just totally disconnecting yourself from the project or the assignment or the activity that you're working or the goal that you're working towards, because like that also can bring you and your team together more so when you're like taking downtime together. And obviously sometimes we need to just be also by ourselves watching a show or by ourselves doing something that we enjoy, because we have to refuel in order to be a good team member.
For just everyone, especially younger people, like it's okay to take days off. Like that is okay. Sometimes it will make you better. We actually we took this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we took an extended weekend, which we haven't really done in a while.
In like 2 years.
We came back way better on Monday. We were just ready to go. We were energized. We were mentally locked in. And I think that's something that if someone would have told me that when I was younger, or just being okay with taking a day off, it's okay.
If you don't give your body a break, it's going to make time for you to take a break.
That is such good advice, because it's true. Sometimes we're like, once I finish this project, once I get this award, once I do this, post that, I don't know, publish my book, get into this competition, then I will finally take a break. But there's always new things always popping up out of nowhere, and so if we don't, like you said, if we don't take a break, something else will force us to take a break.
We can't just run until we collapse.
That's not healthy.
And trust me, you will collapse. There will be a point where you collapse.
Well, I'm glad that you guys took an extended weekend. But this is a question I've been very much looking forward to. Do you have anything exciting coming up, events, etc., to share with us and with our audience?
I mean, she just got engaged.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Amazing.
That was like a really hard thing for us too. Both of us, like we said, we were so laser focused that it was hard for us to let anybody in our circle of, you're going to be a distraction. You're not going to be able to like let me achieve my goals. But it really does. It takes an army to be able to qualify for the Olympics or reach a really important goal. And so you need those people. Like those people are your support people, and they're going to understand when you can't talk all the time, but you need them there and they will be there for you no matter what. So being okay letting people in.
I think so. We have 2 kind of big things coming up. We do have the Paris 2024 Olympics,
yes,
which we are super excited about. But in December, actually, we have our charity tournament. It's called Santa in the Sand. It's going to be our 4th annual charity event, and we are super excited about it. So that is something, those are 2 probably the biggest things that we have coming up the rest of the year.
Oh
That
my
sounds
gosh,
amazing.
congratulations on, the Olympics and your engagement. There's so much exciting happening on the
And
horizon.
the charity event sounds amazing. and
Yes,
that sounds
that's
like so much fun.
So wonderful. And I'm so excited to watch you as you continue to compete, and we are huge fans.
And we can't wait to watch you at the Olympics.
Exactly. So, we're so excited. Where can our audience find you if they want to keep up and see what's happening with you guys?
I would say the best thing would be our Instagrams, probably. But also we have a joint website. It's called tknvball.com that kind of has all of our information. It has the links to our social medias. We also have a podcast that is on there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can stay connected to us. But yeah, definitely checking out the website and just having fun from there. There's lots of things happening on the website.
Perfect. Well, we'll link your Instagram accounts and your website in the show notes, so anyone who wants to go and see that has easy access. And we will be cheering you on. We are so excited, and thank you so much for joining us both here today.
Of course.
Oh,
thank you
thank
so
you
much for
guys.
having us.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
Yeah, truly.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness.
And thank you so much to both Taryn and Kristen for joining us today. They are such an iconic athletic duo, and I absolutely love the strong bond that they share as friends who've become as close as sisters and are also super powerful and successful. Anastasia, what is your biggest takeaway from today?
I think my biggest takeaway is having a common goal and having it almost like represented and manifested in a physical form, like a bracelet. I just love the idea of having a bracelet to remind you of what you're striving for and to motivate you when you just feel like a little bit lazy or you feel like you need a break, because we all get that, but just having something to motivate you.
It's important to take a break, but I think the
Of course.
bracelet and having a physical reminder of your goal and of your shared goal can really bring you and your whole team or your partnership together and remind you all why you're there in the first
What about
place.
you, Mercedes?
My biggest takeaway would have to be the importance of just communication and collaboration. The other person can't know what you don't tell them. Unfortunately, we are not mind readers. So I think just telling the other person what you want, what your goal is, maybe what you're struggling with. And also, I really want to say something that's important to do if you're in a partnership that I've learned from reading psychology books, is that if you are working in a group, tell other people what they're doing well. Say, hey, you did a really good job on that. Congratulations on that win, or congratulations on that goal. Great job on that piece of writing that you submitted.
Good spike.
Exactly. You want to help motivate your team because you're all in it to win it together, no matter what you're working towards.
If you enjoyed this week's episode of Hack Your Happiness, please leave us a 5-star review from wherever you're listening. It really helps us out and we really appreciate it.
Also, be sure to join our happiness family so you don't miss a single episode. We'd really appreciate it, and it's also completely free, and you can do that by following Hack Your Happiness on whichever podcast listening platform you're on. See you next time!